everyone. My name is Mellissa Morgan. I am the founder of Ms. Cupcake. When I personally made that transition to being a vegan after being vegetarian for many, many years, I had a look around to find out where my closest vegan bakery was. And you can imagine, you know, I'm from North America, we have vegan bakeries all over the place, how shocked I was that there wasn't one in London. And then I realized there wasn't actually a vegan bakery anywhere in the UK. So I figured I better teach myself how to bake, because, you know, cake's my main food group. So when I started making cakes and showing people, and people loved them, they said, you should sell these. And one thing led to another. The business started as a market stall back in 2010. And from a year to the day of that very first market stall, we'd open our first shop in Brixton in South London. And that year I was named the Rising Star at the British Baking Awards. And the cookbook soon followed, our first cookbook, which was published by Random House in 2013. We have grown massively over the last few years as a business. We now supply B2B as well. One of our big clients is Whole Foods Markets, and we supply them to all their stores across the United Kingdom. And we do master classes for chefs who are looking to learn how to bake vegan items. And we of course, do direct-to-consumer through our shop and through a UK-wide postal delivery service. We are expanding our B2B quite dramatically in 2018. We're opening a large manufacturing site in the new year, so we're going to be able to supply even more cake and cookies and brownies and American-style baking right through across the entirety of the UK. We're constantly turning down contracts at the minute, which is a very sad place to be in, which is why the expansion is very, very, very important. As well as our second cookbook, the long-awaited, my husband calls it the difficult second album. It'll hopefully be out in the next year as well. Our first one was published in multiple languages and is still selling like you wouldn't believe. So there's obviously a need and a want for really simple, straightforward, and indulgent vegan baking. And that's what we do at Ms. Cupcake.
I think Mellissa is very inspiring. I want to know, Mellissa, what drives you to take these things to the next level? Then there's another level, then there's another level. What drives you?
I think, you know, I'm generally quite a stubborn person, so if someone says, no, you can't do that, I think, great, I'm going to do that now. So I think that sort of part of me inspires me. I believe really and truly that, you know, as an ethical businesswoman, the reason I started the business was because I'm a passionate vegan. I firmly believe that there's two types of people in the world. You have vegans and you have not yet vegans. And to see how veganism has risen so dramatically, I'm so inspired by seeing so many other businesses that are forming and growing with that vegan ethos.
If we just take a few questions and then we'll bring our next speakers, if that's okay. So has anybody got anything they'd like to ask Ms. Cupcake? Yeah? We don't have a mic, so you just have to shout, I think.
What business were you in before you started Ms. Cupcake?
Okay, so what business was Mellissa in before she started Ms. Cupcake?
I was a primary school teacher. So I've come from, I'd never even been a waitress. I really had no experience in the food industry. A lot of people will say, it's taken you a while for you to grow, and it's because I've had to do a off-the-cuff MBA as I've grown the business. Previously, before teaching, I worked in the theatre industry for many years, which is what originally brought me to the UK.
Okay. Do you want to see if that mic's working, actually? We've got another mic here, but we'll just have to, that might be a bit easier.
If you were talking to yourself back in 2010, when you were starting out, what would you advise yourself? What would you do differently?
That's a great question. I like that.
I would go slower. Absolutely, you know, to go from starting a market stall and opening a business in my flat, you know, there's cases of icing sugar in my kid's bedroom. It's, you know, to go from that to opening a shop in such a quick period of time, I would have taken my time with it a little bit more. I think that if you have a unique product, people will wait for it. And if it is truly unique, no one else will be able to get in there before you do. So take your time, learn as you go, and when you're ready to launch, that's the best thing to do.
Any questions? Yeah.
Was there any point where you thought this is just too much? It felt like, you know, let's go back to the school teaching? Or was it always, this is great, I've got the drive, I'm just going to keep going?
That's a really good question. I think any business owner has those moments of going, what the heck am I doing? And I think, you know, I kind of got away with blagging it a bit, being from North America. I was very good at saying, yes, absolutely, that is really important to me, and then rushing home and Googling what the heck they were talking about. So I think if you have bravado, that'll stand in at any point. But in the early days, I was really going off to the market stalls at 5, 6 in the morning, staying the whole day, leaving at 6 in the evening, and then making cake all through the evening, sleeping for a handful of hours. And I did that pretty much on about a year before I realized this isn't scalable. How do we scale from here? And taking those moments to step away from the business and work on the business, not in the business, is so crucial. And I think I cottoned on to that quite early. Someone said to me right in the early days, they said, do you want to be a baker or do you want to run a cake business? And without a beat, I knew it was about running a business. Because if I wanted to be a baker, I would just go get a job from someone and save myself the hassle. And I think, you know, that is the huge difference. Yes, I still bake like you wouldn't believe at home, and I give loads of recipes, you know, but we're a team of about 20 now, and far better bakers than I ever was. And I think that it's recognizing what your strengths are and creating a role that really focuses on those strengths, and that's what spurred me to do that.
So do you think you found the right team quite quickly? I think that's sort of still in line with what we're talking about, growing a business, because we know veganism is obviously exploding, and the products, like Lucy's products and Miss Cupcake's products, they're suitable for everybody. You know, that's it, bottom line. But looking more at the business side of things, was it building a team that helped you get to the next level, finding the right people? Was that easy?
I think, you know, when you work in the food industry, your team will always be fluid, especially your frontline staff. Now that there's so many places people can work in a vegan environment, you're seeing a lot more movement going with team members. I'm a firm believer that there is no perfect person out there, and if there is, I probably couldn't afford them anyways. So we spend a lot of time focusing on training up our team members. Our general manager at our shop was one of the first people I hired as a part-time assistant cake decorator with no management experience. So by having a system to grow people through your team, you will get that kind of you know, longevity, and people will want to grow with the business with you. So it is, yes, it is sometimes going out and finding the right person, not waiting till they knock on your door. And it's also about taking care of your team members as much as you take care of your customers. I think that that's really, you know, make people feel valued, even if you can't pay them what they deserve. Make sure they feel valued and part of the team, and then that will certainly help get the right people to you.
Do we have any more questions for Ms. Cupcake? I think we've grilled her enough, haven't we? Oh, that's lovely. Can we just have a nice round of applause for somebody who's an absolute inspiration?